Shalom Israel, first and foremost. I do want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakdash, that wanted the apostles, and that was great millstone for teaching us its true peace and blessings to the whole of Israel. Yahweh is the name of the land for the Hebrew. Ba'ashem is the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Back on the lesson, and to be another MOTB update. As you've seen the various steps that are being taken towards the implementation of this beast system. What's in the infrastructure and foundation that's being laid out right before your very eyes. The various apps that are now being pushed out. Dealing with Amazon One, for example, where you're able to pay with the palm of your hand, which now they're moving towards implementing these things within stores, which I believe I made a lesson going into, where to access a certain part of the store, you need to have that app, which pretty much allows you to walk in and out with the things that you're wanting to get. So you see, pretty much everything is moving towards a digitized system. For example, it's either Sam's Club or Costco, whatever it's called, but they have a membership program. But now, they're moving it pretty much digitally. Before, you need to show your physical membership card to pretty much go in the store and buy things, and you're seeing how everything once again moving towards a digitized system. You have a lot of venues, stadiums, not accepting cash anymore. And for example, as you've seen right here, dealing with this, real ID, which is what they're now heavily pushing, and ultimately, what's to come. It says TSA to charge a fine to travelers without a real ID or passport. So now imagine when this MOTB comes into play. And the scriptures go into how you won't be able to do anything without it. Buy nor sell, travel. These are the times that we are fastly approaching, and that we are warning of through the spirit power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, starting with the apostles and elders down over that great millstone. But as a reason on top one more time, TSA to charge a fine to travelers without a real ID or passport. Which one? The real ID is pretty much a replacement for your ID, which now is being heavily pushed out. I believe they even given a date to where you need to do a replacement, for lack of better words. But it's the beginning in February 2026. Flyers who show up at the airport without proper identification will need to pay. Here's what to know. Now imagine once that identification is having that MOTB. Because everything about you is going to be within that RFID chip. Your medical records, your ID, who you are. And this is just one step towards that. As the travelers who arrive at the airport without a real ID compliant driver's license or another federal accepted ID such as valid U.S. passport will have to pay $45 starting February 1st, 2026, and wait in extra screening lines. And you already know how these, Babylonians are all about convenience. And when you see you having to pay $45 and wait extra time, they're going to want to get this done. Now imagine, if you don't have this RFID chip, guess what? You won't be able to travel. So that's going to put a lot of people in a jam, in a pickle, where a choice is going to have to be made. You're going to have a lot of people taking that MOTB. Your job's going to be online. Your life ultimately will be on the line. Because these are the times that we are coming into and what is getting ready ultimately to unfold. But this is the Transportation Security Administration. TSA just announced that flyers will have to pay the fee if they show up at the airport without the correct ID, and will need to use what the agency described as a modernized alternative identity verification system. I'll read the last bit right here. This fee ensures the cost to cover verification of insufficient ID will come from traveler, not the taxpayer. And ultimately they're doing this to force you to, do what they want you to do, Adam Stahl, the senior official performing the duties of deputy administrator for TSA, said in a press release, the security of the traveling public is our top priority, so we urge all travelers to get a real ID or acceptable form of ID. And this is a Another thing they're doing is pushing these things in the name of so-called security, as they're especially going to do with this MOTB. Because, it's going to be within your hand. As you also see Elon Musk creating the Neuralink, the mark in the forehead, which you see various people already taken already. But it says, or acceptable form of ID as soon as possible to avoid delays and potential missed flights. So they're going to be putting these things in areas where you need to have what they are pushing, which ultimately will be everything, especially when this MOTB is mandated and pushed out. You want to travel, you want to leave your city, your state, show you have the MOTB, because they are going to be holding checkpoints. For example, going back to the year 2020, you need to have a green pass in order to travel. So, nice moves are being made. It is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11, and it says, "Lest Satan should avenge us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So we ultimately see what this is leading up to, if you have the eyes to see. But what's the advice of the prophets, watchmen among you, to warn you of these coming times and the things that's getting ready to unfold. This being another step towards implementation of this beast system, this RFID CHIP. This is just one example of what they will do. If you, or once this MOTB is pushed out, implementing these harsh restrictions, these mandates, to where you don't have it, well, you're going to have to pay this egregious fine, even be jailed. The times we're coming into, that's why it's important to be under the head and protection of Yahweh B'Shem Shai, to be in his good graces. Revelation 13, 16 to 17, it says, "And he called up both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads." That word mark in the Greek goes to the word karagma, which goes to etch, scratch, show you a physical mark. And that says or in their foreheads. You'll see, Elon Musk creating that Neuralink, as I mentioned earlier. Other companies pretty much following in suit, creating similar things. Verse 17, which is the main point, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this is also another cut to these other Islamic camps when the push that the MOTB is a spiritual mark, that the sin itself, which is completely off and not what the scripture is going to yet, and yet they have yet to break down the buying and selling. This is that no man might buy or sell if he that had the mark or the name beast or the numbers in it. And very soon you won't be able to do anything without it. Is how maybe have a lot of people's hands be forced. A choice will soon have to be made, and only one is correct. And you're gonna have many people, once and think they chose so-called life by receiving that MOTB. In reality, you chose death. Matter of fact, you have front row VIP seat tickets to thermonuclear destruction. Because you will be destroyed if you receive that MOTB, as in Revelation 14, 9 to 10, which goes into that judgment. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1, that says, "Woe unto them decree and righteous decrees, and that right decrees which they have prescribed." These draconian-like laws, that word draconian goes to harsh, strict, severe. And you saw, for example, done with the article we just read. You'll be fined if you don't have proper identification, as he just said. And you'll be fined with $45 and wait in another line, pretty much. Pretty much also alluding that you could possibly miss your flight. So that's going to lead to people doing what receiving whatever they're pushing. As you especially had many of our people when the MOTB came, or not the MOTB, Slocky, when the juice came into play, the concoction that was heavily pushed out back in the year 2020, where your job was on the line and people were unwilling to take that risk of losing it. They went out and took that juice, that concoction, and it was especially a lot of these Israelites that were in the know, and they still went on and took it. So if you failed the pop quiz, imagine when the test is in action and play. What are you gonna do then? Because you failed then, and if you failed at that, imagine what imagine when the MOTB is in play, the harsh restrictions, the mandates are going to be placed then. Because back then it was nothing but a trial run, a test of what this devil's getting ready to do. Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens, ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is coming unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, and this devil knows his time is ticking, his time is running out. This is why he's, fast tracking his plans. And especially why he's getting sloppy. 2 Ezra 15:17, another point, a man shall desire to go into his city shall not be able. So now he's beginning to, tighten that grip. I mentioned that point earlier, these checkpoints are most definitely going to be held. Now, there was this movie, I forgot the character's name. Not the character's name, but the movie title. I was trying to think about, the character that, or the actress, in that movie, the character she played, but it's not coming to mind. But in that movie, they pretty much, had to show they had a certain something within their hand in order to pretty much not get, shot down, I believe. I forgot the exact, title of the movie, but, Lord's will, I'll, come back to me, or I'll make a lesson, go into that Lord's will, we'll see. But let's continue on to say, the mention desire to go into a city shall not be able. Got two more. Isaiah 31:3. And it says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked in my mouth to strengthen themselves, the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And you see many of our people are going to put their faith and trust in Esau, Edom, in this devil, in this beast system. Because you're also going to have, the devil perform these miracles on the left-hand side through this technology. You already see all the promises that they are making, that people that are paralyzed will be able to walk, people that are blind will be able to see. And that people are most definitely wanting to, step in line for that. Especially with not needing your laptop or phone anymore, people see holograms in front of you, listen to music within your brain. And Elon Musk said that, hey, Jake was already wanting to take it then and there. Because I remember when, I believe he made a Twitter post, and this was a while back, when he's pretty much given the idea of, the Neuralink, that you'll be able to listen to music within your brain and do all these different things. And you had Jake going crazy over it. So you can imagine how many people are going to be lining up to take this thing, man. And it's going to be, blocks on end. And it's going to be one of the biggest I told you so moments, man. It's going to be a sight to see. Verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So it may seem all cool, fine, and dandy now, especially when that MOTB comes into play. But, you're pretty much making Esau, Edom, your God. And you can imagine all the terrible and wicked things the devil's about to do to you. You've seen all the experiments that the devil did to these, poor animals, these monkeys, which articles came out about that. He had many deaths over it. So you can imagine, the vast, wicked experiences the devil did on these, animals. To what can control it, what can kill it the fastest, what can shut off its brain, what can, what commands will it follow, whatever the case may be. And this is what this devil wants to put within your body. And we're speaking of the wicked of the Bible here. This devil's not creating these things for the good of humanity. Because he has gold, silver, catching dust. So the devil could fix various problems they see on the earth today, but he doesn't. Why? Because this is what the Lord set him up to do, to be the bad guy, to be the wicked of this movie, this story. And his MOTB is not going to be, for the good of humanity. But people see, the flashy lights, sparkly. Dealing with holograms and able to see a screen in front of you that you would see on your phone or laptop. And they're already doing this with Apple Pro, Vision Pro, whatever they call it. Google has their own, where you're pretty much able to see a screen in front of you, and also the background of reality also. So steps have been taken. Got one more scripture, and that's the point. So Isaiah 10:20. Going to who we're gonna rely upon, because you'll have Jacob raising unfaithful questions. Oh, what are we gonna do then? How are we gonna survive? What are we gonna do? Isaiah 10:20, and it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped to the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, the Holy One of Israel, in truth." So we rely upon our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, be fully plugged into the source, because right now we still have to adapt and do things we've got to do, but soon we're gonna have to take a full step back, especially when the MOTB comes into play. But that's the point. So one of the other brothers, make lessons, going to this travelers being pretty much fined for not having, let's see over here, the real ID or passport. So steps are being taken, But the point was made. I don't close out. Give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash, and Shalom. See you next one, Lord's will.